Hey guys, today I actually want to get into my carving equipment a little bit, so I will try it as good as possible to put everything I have here on the table. As promised before, I just want to go over the stuff that I usually take with me, and also talk about what I use when I'm at home, when I have more space to store stuff and have all my equipment with me, and also probably more of a essentials kit that I would take if I'm traveling or if I'm just going for a little hike to the woods and bring some work with me. I also want to mention some different makers and craftsmen I got some stuff from, or what I have made myself, and later I'm just gonna put all the descriptions and all the links for different channels, Instagram and websites into the description box. So if you're interested in stuff like that, any of the tools or something, you can just look them up. This video is probably also going to be available in German, so anybody German speaking who is not as familiar or as fine with English videos, which is totally understandable, can have a look in German as well. Okay, so let's get into it. I hope this is not going to be taking forever. I actually want to go through my tools in order of using them, like in order of use. Yeah, so I really hope the lighting is good. I'm just checking out normal daylight. I'm coming from one direction, so I'm just as well my first few videos just checking out some different styles and stuff, different techniques, and I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, what's pretty much the first tool that I'm using when I'm getting started with the log on the way to the spoons that I make. This one here is would be a typical spoon that I make, like a eating spoon. Even probably if you talk about typical, I gotta mention first some of those regular sized eaters that are. This one is from birch, with milk paint, finished with some chip carving. This one is left a little bit more simple. This one is from a Roven. This is some spalted. I call it the cow spoon because it's from spalted pear that I made in Japan, and as you can tell, it really looks like the color changes on a cow. It's pretty funny. So anyways, in order to make these, there's some essential items that I'm using. So usually I start with the axe, and I have one tool not on the table here that I actually want to mention, which is a French froe. I'm probably gonna put the picture in between somewhere here, so you can just have a look at that one. It's a vintage froe that I got from France and rehandled, and for me this is kind of the category of it's not really a category of an axe, but it's pretty much what I start with. So either it's the axe or the froe that I start splitting the log with, and then keep working. So here's some axes that I made, and my trusty wildlife hatches by Gransfos Brooks that I made a pretty much I think you can call it a bushcraft mask for it with the fire steel. It has a molly attachment as well, so here you can unscrew it and put it onto the backpack. It has my DC4, I think, Falcon even sharpening stuff on it. And so this is my trusty old wildlife hatchet. I reprofiled it, as you can tell. It's more it's a skinny grind actually with a micro convex bevel, just in order to taken into account that the steel is probably not taking a straight skinny edge, but it takes this micro convex one extremely well. So I love this hatchet. I think for the money, I have to admit that I haven't checked out every single axe on the market. I like the Fiskars as well for the money. But if you're getting into some more serious carving and bushcrafting and stuff like that, Probably you cannot beat this axe here. It's light enough to carry around on the belt and everything, and you don't really feel it in your backpack. And at the same time, it just packs an incredible punch. It's unbelievable. It's hung extremely well. It's probably an axe for like about 2 lifetimes. The steel is wonderful. It takes a really nice edge. It holds it for a long time, like a long enough time. So this is not really a designed carving axe, you know, like all the geometries and everything, but it definitely is one of the best axes for the buck you can get for carving and stuff. So I just want to, actually I kind of have to speed up stuff, and you know, this is like some axes that I made from hand pattern axes. So they made in like a more like 8th century, 9th century Viking style. They're wonderful for carving. They have a long blade for the size and for the weight. They have a nice beard, so you can choke up on. And this one here even has a like 3-layered construction, as you probably can tell here from the color difference. And they make wonderful carving axes. So like they're all between, let's say, like 500 and 700 grams. And that's just a perfect weight for overall spoon and cooksaw carving. So after this step with the axe, I also gonna bring in my saw that somebody apparently yesterday at the barbecue put in the wrong way. Yeah, I brought this one yesterday to like outdoor barbecue because it's just a wonderful saw. It's a Tajima 240 millimeter folding saw that costs probably like $25, like euro on Amazon. This one has a replaced blade that costs $15 by itself because it's like it's kind of coated and has a, I don't know, special kind of heat treat. I go with a blade like that for all kind of bushcraft stuff and carving for probably a year. So this is probably one of the best bangs for the buck you can get. 240 millimeters, 24 centimeters, or what is that? About 12 inches or something. I think it's not exactly 12 inches, but nearly. Is probably the best kind of saw you can get for overall bushcraft and especially carving. And as always, I made a sheath for it from wedge sand leather, stitched with like saddle stitched by hand with a tiger thread, which is like a bonded nylon thread, a waxed one, best thread in the world. And this has held me up for a long time, even like Canada, bushcrafting, hard camping, ranch life, everything. Wonderful combination. So after that, there is a series of different spoon carving knives and like other knives that come in for carving. So in general, I use a Mora that I made a Sami sheath with, and I kind of altered the handle a little bit. It's just a regular 106 laminated blade. Every one of you probably knows this knife. It's probably the best overall carving Swedish like Sloyd style carving knife you can get, and I made a Sami sheath for it, so it's just on my belt all the time. It's a wonderful knife, and I cannot recommend it enough if you just want to have a really good one. So this was one of my first Moras I get. It's just a classic. I altered the sheath a little bit, waxed it, like beeswaxed it. If you want a little bit bigger carving knife that also can do some bushcraft stuff, probably one of those Mora classic laminated blades is the best thing you can get. Then one more I made, like this is a Bernie Garland blade that I ordered like this, and I actually changed a little bit, put a little bit of clip point on here just in order to get into tight spots. And actually made this for my girlfriend, so it's a really small like round handle that doesn't give you any hot spots, that I made from Osage orange, some layers of plastic material and black leather, and this back here is a walnut, and I put a little lanyard in here just for the looks probably, and a little safety pin. But this is a really nice small carving knife, probably in the size of the, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Mora 120 or something. It's really nice. And I call it the crazy bee because, like, let's face it, this looks like a freaking bee. Okay, so just a little sheath for it. this stuff and like a lot of other things is really like from the beginning of my leatherworking time and from my craft time. So like just don't mind the looks of the sheaths. I've stepped up the game a little bit by now and I'm doing custom work, leather custom work, but there's no point of me like chucking away my early work. This is another Bernie Garland knife that I handle. It's very long but pretty skinny, and I don't like that the blade kind of starts after this like huge like 1/2 inch ricasso here, but other than that, it's a really nice knife. I put a handle on it. It's also really one of my early works, as you can tell. This is reindeer antler, and here we have leather and walnut, walnut wood, and here is another safety pin that I like doing. This is extremely comfortable, and this is really like an essential thing in a carving knife. Rounded off the edges here for chest lever grip and the kind of grip I use when I carve towards me. So another knife that I use very often, but nothing gets used as much as the Moro 106, to be honest. Okay, here we got some spoon knives. Let's start with my earliest one. This is a Ben Orford. I don't want to call it a copy, but it's definitely very similar to a small Svantitjev hook knife. This was the first one I got. The steel is very good, the edge is good, but just in general, I'm just not very happy like for myself with that knife. I think it's a very, very good beginner carving knife, and in general a good spoon carving knife. It's just not my style of spoon carving knife. But for somebody who just wants a minimal kit, take this with you. It's awesome. For a small knife and for doing all kind of things. Look, if you just want to do some stuff while you I don't know, hiking, or just having one for just in case, kind of in your bug-out bag or bushcraft kit or something, bring something like this. It's a lot of fun, and the only thing why I don't like it so much, it's not really convex. It has like a straight bevel here, like, and the inside bevel is kind of like downwards angled, so it's not really, it's going into the cut nicely, but it doesn't come out of the cut as nice as other spoon carving knives. So I'm probably not gonna get rid of it, but it's not my favorite. The second one I got when I wanted to step up the game in the first place was this one here. This is a Hans Carlson spoon carving hook knife. I think he only has one at the moment, but please don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I have carved with this knife for probably 2 years exclusively, and it's awesome. I think it's really great. I rounded off the corners here in order to get a little bit nicer grip and choking up, because I like choking up on these kind of knives very much, because I think there is not as much of a good like leverage back here. So yeah, now that I rounded it off here and I can choke up without having this corner in my finger, it's really awesome. Over the time, with all my stropping and like using sandpaper and stuff, I probably convexed the outside of the blade a little bit, the bevel, which is great because it really comes out of the cut like butter. And inside, I just took the straight, the stropping dowel to it and stuff. And also in my time in Japan, when I carved a lot, like on a daily basis, just for fun, this was the only hook knife I had. And it doesn't really matter, like even some kind of like Tukakam style carving is possible with that. And at some point I even considered putting a longer handle on this one, because let's say like that. For me, not having had any over like all around Westerman knives and all around Del Stubbs Pinewood Forge knives, for me right now, at my point of like gear experience, this is the best overall hook knife you can get. But you have to put into account, and I have to put into account, that I haven't held and used these other two makers, because I think some of their knives might actually deserve the same kind of title. Okay, that's just for now. I'm not really speeding it up, to be honest. It's horrible. Then the third one I got together with some other ones here when I came back to Japan, and I made the sheath for that one, burnished of course, and it's just some old like scrap leather, so I use it for that kind of stuff. It's as well like hand stitched, and it has my Woodsman's Finest logo on it that I'm playing with. It's nothing nothing all set yet, but just playing with these things and having a look how it turns out. This is a Robin Wood open curve right-handed spoon carving knife. All my spoon carving knives, by the way, are right-handed. I put the longer handle on it in order to get some leverage for some of those like turning cuts and those like pivot cuts and stuff like that. And I put some duct tape on here because there's some sharp corners here. So for like my regular how I want to call it, like probably I would call it like a thumb cut, like because the leverage really comes from your thumbs, or like the base of your thumb, or I don't know how I would call it. Just a regular peeling cut, probably. Peeling cut is a good way to say. This is a very nice knife. For the buck, it's definitely a good one. I have to say that looking at it, you can tell that the curvature is really not very continuous, which is a problem I didn't have with my other knives. And the blade as well, I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty wavy, which is not a big deal. Sometimes it can be a little bit a problem that there is a little change in the curve in the knife. I don't know if it focuses nicely, but probably you can tell. Other than that, the knife is pretty nice. It is a little bit flexible, which sometimes can actually help to adjust, because there is like, if you really want to get into a curve, you can kind of really like press it into the spoon, and it kind of adapts a little bit to the curve. It is very flat, so it is only for finishing cuts, as far as I'm concerned. And most of the time when it comes to stuff like that would be like okay, but most of my other spoons is actually too flat. It comes in very handy when you're working on bigger pieces, like this serving spoon here. This from Maple. There it actually, it comes into its own. But in general, it's a knife that I have to say I find myself using less and less. I rather would go with a overall hook knife. Like I don't know if this is a good example for what I mean, but I think it is. If you look at it, there is not a continuous like symmetric but asymmetric curve in it. So changing the angle in the spoon a little bit, you actually can get shallower and like deeper cuts, which is very comes in very handy if you only use one spoon carving knife. And there's definitely some more knives like that out there as from the makers that I mentioned before. But other than that, I think this is a good knife for the buck. It's a good knife for the money. And now coming into two knives, I don't want to go into it like in depth, because it's just not the time, and I'm gonna do it probably on another occasion. First of all, this is the Nick Westerman 6 centimeter Tuka Cam. This is a pretty infamous knife, and it took pretty infamous chunks out of my hand so far. It's an awesome and extremely sharp knife. It takes a while to get used to it. You really gotta be careful in the beginning, because this is gonna make little dims and pools into your hand. It just takes out, it makes a freaking bowl into your hand when you cut yourself. I mounted this on a very long handle actually, in order to really use it with two hands when I'm working on Gouges and other stuff. It is really, really well made. It has a hollow ground inside and a completely convex outside, where the convex grind actually really goes from the spine of the blade all the way down, and the spine is rounded. So when you use it, as you use a Tuka Cam, putting your fingers on the back and turning with this hand, pushing with the other one, this is extremely well made. And even though it's a little bit more pricey than other hook knives on the market, you really get a lifetime, or 2-3 lifetimes tool for that money. And it is absolutely perfect and awesome. When you're working on bigger spoons, you can even clamp them into a vise, and then really with two hands work on the bowl. One thing I have to mention is this is a very big radius, so either you adapt your spoon design to the Tuka Cam, which I'm not a very big fan of. because I have my style, and I don't want my tools to determine my style. But if you can tell here, this actually fits very nicely. So, you know, my spoons start flatter, of course, and then they have the biggest, like the deepest part in the middle of the crank here, and as well at the deepest point here, of course. And this is where the Tuka cam has to fit, you know. But in this case, it does. It's a full-size eating spoon. But with a lot of the smaller spoons I make, and like the granola spoons and stuff like that, this doesn't really work out completely well. So this is one downside. But in case you need a smaller one, Nick actually makes a smaller version of this. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about this knife. It's just awesome. I as well made a sheath in the same style as the other one for it. It is actually wet molded to the knife when it was wrapped in plastic foil. It just kind of even like nearly clicks in here, and then I have this leather thong that just goes around, and it has a welt, of course, in order to secure the stitching in the blade. And this is the way to go with this kind of knives. You don't want to have it lying around. Somehow the blade gets damaged, or more than likely you get damaged. So the last hook knife I wanna mention is this. This is a Belzebu Hades. I don't know. I studied classic Greek. I say it like in a proper way. Hades. This is a more affordable Tuka cam from a Portuguese maker that I want to make a review in depth very, very shortly. I just want to say that ever since this design, like some things have changed. The blade actually comes at a sharper angle here and doesn't go really upwards, but kind of ends here. So like the same as the classic Tuka cam. Just quickly, I want to say this is an awesome knife from a very young maker for an extremely affordable price. It is made from, I think, from spring steel. It is a little bit springy, but it is extremely sharp. It holds its edge amazingly well. It is hand forged as Nick Westermann's blades, but this is a lot more affordable. It is very thin, is a little bit flexible, but it does an awesome job. And even with freaking hardwoods that I've used it on, it hasn't lost its edge, chipped or anything. I'm very, very happy with this knife. I made a like semi-long handle for this one, a little bit thicker, as I find myself liking the thicker handles, and played around a little bit with my logo and some milk paint. I want to do an in-depth review of one of those very shortly, but just keep in mind this is the Belzebu Hades, a very affordable Tuka cam that does a great job, and it is in a 5 centimeter diameter, and that makes me actually use this knife more often than the 6 centimeter Tuka cam by Nick Westermann, because this 5 centimeter one is taking care of big spoons, small spoons, bowls, everything, and I just leave a little bit deeper facets when like finishing bigger ones, but for normal size or small size eating spoons, this is really taking care of all the radiuses. It's awesome. Cool. So at this point, I just want to bring in some sharpening equipment that I go over in about 30 seconds. Over there you see some different sandpapers, about 400 to 1200 grit, that I wrap occasionally around dowels, or I wrap it around my leather, except my some of my axes, like some of them, and some of my regular Sloyd knives. Mostly those knives here, like the hook knives, they have convex grinds outside. Some of my axes are micro convex, and one or two of my knives even have a micro convex bevel, so like straight Scandi bevel with a micro convex edge, just because some steels don't take a very flat narrow Scandi grind at all, so you need to micro convex them to get the best out of the steel and out of the knife. So they get wrapped around these. That's good for the inside of the hook knives. as you can tell, as you can see here, in order to sharpen them. The sandpaper gets put or wrapped around one of my strops to take care of the outside bevel of those. Then I have some leather on here that's even cut. I kind of need to renew that one. That has some stropping compound on it, like micro, like very fine one. I didn't go with the diamond hone because it sucked. I have a local source for it, like super fine honing compound that just leaves a mirror edge and has a very, very nice cut on the metal. And these are 2 strops. I have some self-made as well, but these are 2 strops by the Stropman, American guy who's making strops for a very affordable, good price. And I'm using them for several years. Sorry. And sometimes I just put them actually on the belt grinder, on the belt grinder or sander, in order to take the compound off and in order to make the leather thinner so it doesn't convex my blades more than I actually wanted to. That's it on Sharp. Hey guys, I just needed to change my battery. Okay, so what's next? We're getting kind of to the end of the video. A few more essentials that you want to bring with you. Essentials. So you want to be able to draw on your wood, okay? So very soft pencils, like those carpenter pencils, work very well. A Sharpie in some case, not always on wood. It might like sink into the wood, like, you know, you have a hard time getting rid of it. And very often this kind of compass, like divider, however you call that, comes in very handy if you want to take care of some round shapes, cookies and stuff. This is the one I got in school, you know, probably 10 years ago. So this is, you're gonna find stuff like that in all my pens, like pencils, soft pen pencils, Sharpies. Excuse me, they're all over the place. This is a Sami coffee pouch that I made from buffalo skin. I have several of these and I make them sometimes to order. This one also has a belt carry and a D-ring on it, just for carabiner. I love these and they're all hand stitched. Here I usually, you know, in this case I'm carrying some templates that and usually some pencils. This is just overall ideas I had over a time, and in my room there is about like a million different ones more. They have there's big cooking spoons in there, serving spoons, all the way to smaller stuff that I'm working on at the moment actually, which is some like eating spoon designs, copyright, no, just kidding. So it's, let's say like that, when I'm carving, like I used to hand draw everything that I made. But every now and then I really like happened to make a design that I really liked, and then I found myself attempting a certain design or something like very, very long to get back to the one that I made, and it just took a lot of time and it sucked, and it's just in you know, in order to be able to make stuff for people to order, and it just I needed to come up with templates. So what I started doing was drawing templates on paper, cutting them out, putting them into laminating machine, however you call them, with this like plastic foil lamination. And this way it's easier to actually trace them because they have a little bit thicker and sturdier corner, and they hold up better, you know, over time. I find the paper ones to be far too flimsy in order to, you know, trace something. So that's that. And then at the end, I just wanted to show you some more stuff that I got as well that comes in handy every now and then. This is a secondhand spoke shave I got on Facebook on an exchange group. Thank you, buddy, for sending this one over to me. I really like it. It's a very affordable one, made by Record. I use it every now and then, but definitely it's something very handy. This one even has a already angled blade, so it does a little bit of a cutting action for you. Actually, you don't really have to, hold it somehow sideways. Especially when it comes to bow making and stuff, what I used to do a lot and definitely gonna get back into at some point. This is something really cool. And as well, axe handles, everything. I like finishing my axe handles with my knives just as my spoons, but it is one way of dealing with it. This one here is actually, let's say it's representative for all the gouges I use, which is about 2 or 3. I got some Stubai gouges from a friend of mine from his grandpa's collection. His grandpa was a Austrian, European style carver, and he probably had, 200 of those, more or less, very expensive gouges, bent one, crooked ones. I don't know how you call them, all sizes, all shapes. But this one here I got me a while ago. Definitely inspired by Jeff from Lots of Woods. Carving, I don't know how I want to call him. Jeff is actually a good buddy when I'm talking about his business. How am I going to call it? Lots of Woods is the name of the workshop, so I probably just going to call it Lots of Wood Spoon Carving. He's an awesome guy, and he helped me a lot in the past. If you're not familiar with his work and his videos, please just go ahead and check him out. So he's using this 2-inch gouge for Successor starting, and I went ahead and got me this spoon carving Successor carving gouge for me. It's a 1.5-inch wide James Howard gouge from the UK. I actually got it for a pretty okay deal, and I sharpened it up myself, first on a belt sander, and then I took it to some other stuff, and now it has more or less a convex all the way up to 0 convex grind. It is sharp as hell, and really does a great job with the first few cuts on a Successor. Of course, a tool like this I didn't want to have lying around just like that, so I actually made a water-formed and a riveted sheath for it from self-dyed vegetable leather, with of course finished edges and stuff. So this is pretty much like where my leather work is at the moment. Nice finished edges, sturdy, and fits the tool like a glove. Here we go. So this is a wonderful tool. I'm gonna have it for the rest of my life, definitely. And here, one of my latest acquisitions. This is awesome. I used the draw knife in the past for bow making and stuff like that. Haven't had a good one for a long time, and the one I had was a very different style. So I went ahead, and for a small fortune, I got me this Ohio 8-inch draw knife from the US. Sorry for the little wiggle. My tripod is not really supposed to be a tripod. So this is a wonderful draw knife, and I actually sharpened it to hair popping sharp. This is probably one of my sharpest tools, which is a little bit funny if you think about how big this thing is, but it is unbelievably sharp, and it's a wonderful steel. And this as well is something that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. I worked already a little bit with it and some axe handles and stuff, and it's just the bomb. It's a little bit curved, just as I like it, so it does more of a slicing, cutting edge action. And I made a custom mask or sheath for that one as well from dyed vegetable leather, with a wonderfully, I just love those burnished and finished edges. There's something about them, it's just really nice and neat. They're of course all hand stitched. Do you focus actually? I don't know, GoPros don't really focus like that, like other cameras. So yeah, it's hand stitched. I go all the way through 3 pieces of leather, punch them several times with different tools, and go through with a diamond awl. They're all hand stitched with a tiger thread, different sizes tiger thread, in a English style saddle stitch. Nice brass hardware, welt inside, of course, and of course again the finished edges. And this here is the bad boy. It is extremely sharp. It has a very nice edge. It has 1 or 2 tiny chips. It is a vintage tool, but it is very, very sharp. And this nice shiny edge comes from the wonderful stropping compound I use. So this is the tool I want to finish my little tool video with. It is very long, so I'm probably gonna make 2 or 3 parts out of this in order to be allowed to post it. So over here is probably the last thing that I mentioned. This is a, calm down guys. This is a bag I made from a piece of elk neck leather. This is the leather I use for my Native American style plains quivers. It's all hand stitched, of course. It is very sturdy and thick, nearly a centimeter in some places. It's very sturdy. And I put some latigo leather, oil tanned leather fittings on here, as well as some snaps in order to change the size and stuff. And I usually stuff everything I want, everything I need into this bag, and just put the whole bag either in my traveling suitcase or sling it around my shoulder when I go for archery or just for outside stuff, like where I probably gonna be ending up carving somewhere. So this is my carving bag, and it has served me very, very well. So I just want to mention that if you make your stuff from good materials and with a good concept, you're gonna have them for a long time. So this is my more in depth that I actually wanted video about my carving equipment. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about products, or why the heck my tripod is so wiggly all the time, then please just send me a mail, or like write the question into the comment section, and I'm gonna be happy to help you out with anything. Also, I want to mention the makers of my tools and my own websites. I'm gonna put the description down below for my Instagram, Facebook, and other sites. And yeah, if you wanna have a look at my spoons, and that would be of course great. I definitely love eating with wooden spoons, and I love how they make every meal a little treat, and they're great gifts as well. So I would be happy about you subscribing to my channel, so I don't have to split those videos up into 8 parts. And please give me a thumbs up for the video. This would be a great feedback and a very good motivation for me to keep going. Yeah, so that's all from me. Have a nice day. And Conspicuous says, if your spoon gets smaller and smaller while carving, just start with a bigger blank. Have a good one. Bye.